Mr. KenHu.
改めまして
Again, I'm Sekiguchi. I'm going to introduce the second speaker. Second speaker is from Huawei Technologies. He is the rotating chairman of Huawei's board of directors. The Huawei is selling the high quality smartphones in Japan, so that I'm sure that you may know it very well. But let me introduce the company very briefly. Company itself was established in 1987 and 31-year-old, 180,000 employees, and almost 11 trillion yen of revenues. Just about 30 years or so, it has grown to the largest telecommunication equipment manufacturers. So Mr. KenHu appeared in this conference 2011, so that this is the first time in 7 years. And he is serving as the member of the Digital Communication Industry Steering Committee of the WAF. So he has been very active, both overseas and also in China. And he's going to talk about the make the most of digital. So he's going to be talking to us about 20 minutes, and after that I'd like to ask some questions to him. So Mr. KenHu, please come up to the stage. Please welcome him with a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Sekiguchi-san. Good morning, everyone. It's a great honor to be invited again to the Nikkei Global Management Forum. First of all, congratulations to Nikkei for hosting this great event for 20 years. And thanks, Nikkei, for bringing all of us together. Many of you may have learned about Huawei, about our smartphone, because my colleague in Japan told me that our smartphone is getting more and more popular in Japanese market. I'm really happy to hear that. But Huawei have done a lot of more than smartphone. So now I will give you a bigger picture in Japanese. As we can see, Huawei has grown from a small company to one of the leading ICT technology providers in the world today in just 30 years. And we have a vision for the future to bring digital technology to every people, every home, and every organization, and to help to build a fully connected and intelligent world. I've been working for Huawei for almost 30 years. As an engineering graduate, I'm always about technological innovation and how it can help us to develop our society. So today I would like to take this good opportunity to talk about the benefits digital technology will bring to us and how we as business leaders can harness this new potential. At Huawei, we believe that we are entering an intelligent world. And I'm sure the change will happen in the next 30 years. In the intelligent world, everything will be connected. We anticipate that by the year of 2025, totally we will have around 100 billion connections around us. Because at that time, the broadband access will be ubiquitous. And everything will be able to sense to the environment, because sensors will be everywhere. And that will help us to collect different kind of data, which will help us to better understand the world and also better understand ourselves. And ultimately, everything will be intelligent, because all the data will be processed in a totally different way than today, particularly with the support of artificial intelligence that will help us to bring intelligence to every people, every organization in the world. So this will be a brand new intelligent world. And every one of us can expect a lot on different levels of our society. Next, I will talk about that in more detail. For people, our lives are going digital very fast. Here, I would like to share with you some of the figures from the Huawei Global Industry Vision Report for 2025. We believe that we will have 40 billion smart devices around us. Not just to include our smartphones, everybody has a smartphone, but also different kind of wearable devices. Our glasses, our watches, our shoes, and even our toothbrushes. And most of the people, says 90%, will have their own smart personal assistant. And as a result, the consumption of data will greatly increase as well. AI, artificial intelligence, has become a superpower of our society, and it is changing everything. For example, with the latest Huawei smartphone, which we launched last month, any of us can take a picture with professional quality, because the artificial intelligence functionality embedded into the smartphone can automatically choose the best setting for more than 1,500 scenarios, like taking the photo of children, of flower, of food, of pets. And artificial intelligence can do a lot of more. For example, now you can take a photo of food with our latest smartphone, and it will help you to tell how many calories it has, because the artificial intelligence brings the data analytic capability to the camera, to the phone. So this is really cool. And our home will be better connected. We anticipate that we will have 10 billion smart devices in the home environment. And the broadband access in the home will be greatly increased as well. Now, there are only 3% of homes have the gigabits internet access, and the number will reach 30% in less than 10 years. As a result, in the better connected home, we will see great increase of the usage of smart home robots. Now there are only 2% of homes have the smart home robots, but the number will reach 12% in less than 10 years. The smart home robots can help us on daily tasks like cooking, cleaning, education, and healthcare. This is very helpful for the country with aging population, like Japan. Talking about industry, different industries will benefit a lot from the emerging digital technology. Today, more and more industries are embracing the digital technology. And I believe in the next 10 years, it will be a main trend that digital technology, particularly the artificial intelligence, will be combined with the expertise and the know-how in the existing industry, like transportation, aviation, healthcare, agriculture, education. That will help us to greatly enhance our existing efforts in all those industries. And particularly, it will help us to multiply the business value in those industries. This is an amazing future. In this process, cloud computing and artificial intelligence will become new engine for business growth. From our observation, ultimately, all companies will be connected to the cloud. And 86% of enterprises will use the artificial intelligence in their business operation. As a result, we will be able to generate greater value from data. Here are some figures. Today, there are only 16% of data being used in our business. And for the future, we anticipate that 80% of data generated from the business operation will be used to create new value. So this is a big increase, and this is a big step forward to create value from data. So we will be able to make the business and to make the economy as a data-driven business and data-driven economy. Let me talk about 5G, because 5G is becoming a very popular topic today. And I believe that 5G will be able to become a new enabling technology to create amazing user experience and to develop some very helpful industrial applications. From technology perspective, 5G will help us to create much faster speed, much lower latency, and much, much more connections. Let me share with you in more detail. 5G will be super faster. From the technology perspective, it will be 100 times faster than our existing 4G, than LTE. And it will be 50 times responsive than the 4G. Its latency is less than 1 millisecond. So it's 50 times more responsive than 4G. And it will provide much more connections. You can imagine that in the space of 1 square kilometers, we will have 1 million connections that will help us to get everything in this space connected. So with those features, 5G will help us to develop some amazing application for consumers. For example, the real-time VR gaming. Because now while you're playing the VR game, you have to wear a very big glass with a cable, and that's not a very comfortable experience. But with the 5G, you can experience the real-time VR gaming with others, in a remote area. And we can use that technology in remote education as well. And 5G can help us to develop some amazing application for industrial use. For example, the smart manufacturing and the industrial robots, industry drones. At Huawei, we've been working on 5G for almost 10 years, and now we're in the leading position to provide the 5G to the market. Now we are working with more than 50 carriers in the world on their 5G networks, pre-trial or commercial. So we can expect a lot on the 5G. So to summarize, 5G, Internet of Things, cloud, and artificial intelligence, those are the drivers, technical drivers for the future intelligent world. And particularly when those emerging technology converge with each other and combine with the existing industry's know-how and expertise, it will help us to create enormous opportunity in those areas. And ultimately, will help us to drive the exponential growth in the economy. This is exactly what we want in the intelligent world. And in Japan, you have a great vision. It's called Society 5.0. What we learned from this initiative is that the Japanese government is going to pay great effort promoting the emerging digital technology into the different sectors of the society, and to pursue bigger business growth and to create bigger social value. This is a very visionary initiative, and I believe that this will help Japan to be in a leading position in the digital transformation. And I hope that this will also establish a meaningful reference to the rest of the world. While we talk about the technology, which has been ready, we talk about the demand, which is ready too. And the government has already established a blueprint for us for the future. So you may ask, what we can do as a company? My point is that we as a company should be able to embrace the new technology and step up to promote the digital transformation in our business. So let me share with you some of our thoughts from Huawei's practice. We believe that as a company, in order to make the most of digital technology, we can have 3 key considerations: strategy, process, and technology. I will talk about the strategy first. As a company, we should focus our digital strategy on the real business challenge. Don't go digital just to go digital. Because we can expect a lot from the digital technology on better user experience, higher efficiency, lower cost. Those are the measurable benefits from the digital technology. For any of the company, while you have concerns or challenges in any of those areas, you should consider going digital. Process. I believe that our future economy is customer-centric, data-driven, and will be enabled by the digital technology. So for any of us, our process and organization should be able to fit this model. But first of all, we should be clear about what the customer wants and what the user experience is. Here at Huawei, we identify 5 common user experience in the digital era, in the digital environment. We call that ROADS. It stands for real-time, on-demand, all online, DIY, and social. We believe that this is what customer wants, and this is what we as the company have to deal with. So while you start to redesign your process, you can start from the user experience rather than starting from function. At the same time, we should get all the process integrated by scenario rather than working in different silos. And lastly, I will talk about technology. Technology is playing a more strategic role in our business process. We, as an enterprise, we should be able to embrace the digital technology to deal with our business challenge. For example, artificial intelligence will help us unmanning repetitive tasks, and blockchain will help us to build a brand new secured transaction process and eventually to lower the end-to-end transaction cost. And the cloud will help us to increase the efficiency of the resource. Actually, with the cloud, as a company, we don't need to buy the asset. We don't need to buy the resource. We just need to buy the services. This is particularly helpful for the SME. So any company can take those considerations while they are going to go digital. Here, I would like to share with you one of the reference from one of our customers, the China Merchants Bank. It is one of the top retail bank in China. They're using the emerging digital technology to enhance the operational efficiency and create a better user experience. Before, it took 15 days to apply a credit card from China Merchants Bank. And now it takes just 5 minutes. So from 15 days to 5 minutes, how? How can they do that? Because while we work with them to deploy a big data solution, which help them to better analyze the risk and control the risk. So this is a great benefit for the bank and a great enhancement on the user experience. And they're also using artificial intelligence technology in their business. They equip their ATMs with the facial recognition technology. With those technology, now customers don't need the card to withdraw money from the ATM. Getting the money from the ATM is just as easy as unlocking your smartphone. This is a very interesting experience. So looking at the China Merchants Bank, every organization can consider going digital by applying the emerging digital technology to deal with their business challenge, to enhance the efficiency and the user experience. However, in the digital era, no company can survive on their own resource and expertise. Companies have to work with each other in a stronger ecosystem. So now I would like to talk about the ecosystem. At Huawei, our model for the ecosystem runs for openness, collaboration, and shared success. We extend this model in our business operation in Japan as well. As I just shared in the video, Huawei has been in Japan for 13 years. We have been working with many of our partners in Japan to build a strong ecosystem. So with the concept of the open collaboration, on one hand, we work with our Japanese partners to use the high quality, very competitive components from them to help us enhance the quality and competitiveness in our products and solution. At the same time, we bring the Japanese innovation to the rest of the world through our global value chain, because we've been working in 140 countries in the world. This is a global value chain. So here is just a very simple sample of our partnership in Japan. Totally, now we have over 80 partners in Japan across different industries. And working with them, we are building a very strong ICT ecosystem. And we have contributed a lot to the technology development, both in Japan and in the rest of the world. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks for this great opportunity. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to exchange our ideas on how we can take advantage of the emerging digital technology to develop our business, to promote the development of our society. I believe that we're all in a brand new ecosystem. We can work together to do more, and we can work together to make the most of digital technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hu. Have a seat, please. Yes. KenHu さん、どうもありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Mr. KenHu. Now, we are going to use the Chinese and also Japanese translation, so please make yourself use of the receivers. Wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. Without further ado, I would like to start the discussion. The theme of this conference is the driving transformation in fast-changing world, so 5G, AI, and clouds. These emerging technologies will be bringing us new way of life and also new way of enterprise management. So as I touched upon at the beginning, 1987, the Huawei started its business, so 31 years have passed already. So in just 31 years, the 180,000 people and also the 11 trillion yens of revenues have achieved. And Nokia, Ericsson, so including these two, top three are the enablers. And 2020, we are going to have a 5G infrastructure, and I think these top three companies will support us. So first question, why do you think that the Huawei has achieved this great growth in just a limited time? I think Mr. Hu has joined very early history of the Huawei, so I would like to ask you the key for the success. So I would like to speak in my own language, Chinese. Mr. Sekiguchi, thank you for your question. 30 years ago, I joined Huawei. 30 years ago. So fortunately, I have witnessed all the different stage of development of Huawei. When I joined, it was very small. A little less than 100 people were working for it, but now 180,000 people are working for it. And I experienced various changes in the Huawei. The first one is that it grew from 100 people to 180,000 people company. The company grown as a global corporation. And the second one is that the company started from the electronics manufacturers, but now it is manufacturing the various equipment to promote the telecommunication service itself. And the third one is that the Huawei used to be pure Chinese company, but now it's a national company. It has businesses in over 140 countries. So through this experience, I myself has been very lucky. And looking at the last 30 years history, the Huawei achieved a great success. And then there are two key factors there. First one is the external element, and another one is our own efforts. So I would like to briefly touch upon the two. First one is about the external element.
首先是
The success of Huawei, first of all, has to do with this 1978, the initiative for the liberalization and opening of the market strategy and the policy, and we have been benefited from that. In Shenzhen, there's a number one, of course, city where we have launched the opening of the market. And in terms of the environment of the liberalization of the market, we have seen the growth of the private sector and company. We have been promoted by the government in order to develop the private company. At that time, the private company was not easy to grow during those political circumstances. And in Shenzhen, we have been able to grow in a quite a open, liberal environment. And the fact that why they have grown under this landscape is a one important factor. The other is that we have been very fortunate enough that this ICT industry is an industry that is about to grow for the future. So the industry as it is, the size have enlarged. So ICT industry, in order to touch upon several figures, in 2017, by end of 2017, globally, there are 8.7 billion mobile devices, the mobile phones that have existed. And 30 years ago, when you recall, maybe 35 years ago, when you recall, the mobile phone market was zero. And only in this recent 3 decades, the telecommunication market has grown over the years. So the telecommunication industry, this is just a part or the tip of the iceberg. So as I have alluded to in my presentation, this technology in telecommunications needs to be embedded and harnessed within our lifestyles and every corner of our lifestyles. And digital transformation needs to be realized in every aspect of our livelihood, meaning that this market has bigger potential to grow. If this, of course, the potential to grow, it's still a sunrise stage or initial phase of this industry. So that is another, of course, driving factors. So these are the two external factors that have drove our growth. From my personal experience, the other, of course, dimension of why Huawei has succeeded, there are 4 things to be said. One is that Huawei, in selecting the strategies, we decided to focus on the most important thing. Telecommunication industries was evolving in size, but under these circumstances, we have many opportunities. It's an endless opportunity that we can focus on for the companies. These endless opportunities, when we confront with these prior opportunities, we can only have so much to spend for R&D. We need to specialize in certain fields. Otherwise, we will not be able to establish a competitive edge or strength. So for us to obtain our competitive strength, we need to focus on the most important thing for our company. For instance, for us, it's connect. The connection is what we prioritize on, cheaper and most with the minimum maximum amount of connection with to be connected to various network, fixed fiber or optical fiber, mobility network, 3G, 4G, 5Gs. We focus on the connectivities of a device, and in the future, when we think about the digital transformation, we have to consider about the fundamental digital platform connecting to cloud or human recognition by utilization of AI. So we need to focus on these areas. Besides from that, we are not going to touch on our efforts. So it says application development. This is something that we are not going to take part of. So we are going to offer a platform. So the basic infrastructure is what we need to focus on. So we believe that in the future years to come, more than ever before, what we need to do, what we are not going to do, we need to think with scrutiny. So that's one thing, that to focus on the most important thing for the company. The second aspect is the continuous innovation, to engage ourselves in continuous innovation. Huawei, on the day of the birth of the foundation of the company, every year, 10% of the sales, or maybe even 50% of the sales, had been allocated to R&D. And last year, we have 10.6 billion US dollars that we have invested to R&D effort. So focusing on the strategy, as I said, we need to really laser focus in what we need to do. At the same time, we are going to make abundance investment on R&D effort. By doing so, we are building upon our strength in terms of expanding our competitive edge and expanding the scope and the realm of our competitive edge and focusing on the R&D. So that's another important thing. The one other thing that's very important is Huawei. We have a customer-centric culture and philosophy within our company, not only by means of word, but the actual work that we engage ourselves in, we need to reflect that in everything that we do in terms of R&D for new product development. What are the pain points for the customer? We need to focus on solving that pain point. What do we need to make? Not what we want to sell, but what is needed on the part of the customer is our driving force for our R&D. And the other thing is that always we need to consider the benefit of the customers as being number one. We are a telecommunication industry, so therefore, if there is a problem, the safety of the community, there is a major impact on the livelihood of the people. In terms of the East Great Japan earthquake of 2011, many enterprises have felt a threat and they decided to recede from operation in Japan. But at the most difficult part, we have gone to the most dangerous part, or with the customer, with the end users, we wanted to guarantee in offering a stable network to the customer. And that's the third thing. The fourth thing that was important for the Huawei success is that inside our company, we need to share the benefit that we drive, and we have established that mechanism and scheme for that. You may know that we have employers equity holding program, stock holding program. So it may mean that we all share the benefit. So besides from the bonus, besides from the compensation, annual wages, the profit generated by the company will be shared amongst employees. So they are the stakeholders, shareholders in getting benefit out of their hardworking efforts. So therefore, they're putting a lot of efforts, but the value of the company growth could be shared amongst our employees. So these are the four reasons why Huawei has succeeded over the years. So yes, I wanted to know more about R&D effort, but you have already touched upon that aspect. So since it's a golden opportunity for us, of course, this forum has been organized by a newspaper company. So this is a question I really need to ask. So like in the past in Japan, there is a trade, of course, friction between China and United States, where you used to have a trade friction between Japan and United States. So friction of the technology, Huawei is at the forefront of this field, being exposed to this friction. So in terms of the high-tech friction or trade, of course, friction that you have encountered between China and United States, what is your perspective and what are the strategy and tactics that you're going to undertake? Can you share your observation, please? In terms of the trade friction between between China and United States in the recent few months. It is really under the limelight, the trade issues. So in a bilateral relationship, we are a high-tech company who have global operation. So with this new political, of course, scheme, it is something that is very regrettable. But as a company, this I think is a given. So many of the things, it really transcend the area of our control. So the trade issue between the two countries, there is a very tense relationship. But from the global operation, I believe that there is a negative impact on the economy as a whole. So our industry, which is a high-tech industry, we have we are companies that are quite dependent on the global economy and global market. So telecommunication equipments and of course a product that we offer, we need to all play our role and we collaborate in coming up with a product and services. Any product or services, let's say the component parts are produced in Japan and the software developed in the United States and assembly is done in China. And this product at times is utilized in India or Europe. So it truly is a global operation. It's a high dependency on the global market. So in the trade friction and protectionism that we see luring in the trade and commission, the industry chain is all going to be fragmented. So that I think has a significant impact.
So first of all, it breaks the flow of the knowledge. So technological innovation is really globalized, which means that you have to have a free flow of the knowledge. Unless you have a free flow of the knowledge, the innovation acceleration stops. And also the cost of the innovation increases. So I am very much concerned that the current trade situation will deteriorate in the future. I hope it will get better. As Sekiguchi-san said, that what do we do at the Huawei then? So our response is as following. We just accelerate our globalization. So we have tension existing trade, but this is only for a limited number of countries. The globalization trend itself will not really stop. So based on this judgment, we decided to promote the globalization even further and having a collaboration with all over the world. For example, our smartphones, 50% of the components are manufactured in Japan. So even for the future, our business will be global. We will have a partner all over the world where resources are most competitive and provide the devices all over the world. And trade friction, which exists in an only limited country, reverse globalization trend. We really want to respond to that by accelerating our globalization. And free trade will not be reversed by just these frictions. So next question is related to the following question. You mentioned about the importance of the data. But at the same time, in May, in Europe, GDPR went into effect. So in China, Chinese internet safety law was enacted last year in China, so that governments are taking initiative to control their own data. It's almost like a data regionalism. That's what I think. So European movement, Chinese movement, what do you think of these trends? How do corporations should react to these? I also touched upon this in my presentation. Future economy is going to be digital economy, which means that digital is going to be the driver of the world development. So this is the mainstream trend, the data protection, privacy protections must be done in a sophisticated manner. And the data, privacy data, unless you protect them well, that itself is going to be the hindrance for the societal development. GDPR was created, and then this is going to be the very comprehensive rules, and the EU member states have adopted this May. And I think it gives a very good model for the world business sectors. I think three progress were made under this. The number one is that in the digital economy in the future, the subject of the data or the creator of the data or processor of the data or controller of the data, each party must have a clear responsibility for treating the data. And also, the corporate governance should be strengthened so that the corporation should be able to control the data. So according to the GDPR, the corporation on EU markets must manage their companies. They have to have a full-fledged person who control the data security. And the DPA should be also created in the companies, so that even in one country, every country must implement the data security so that it actually clarify all the roles of the people and the enterprises and organizations. So I think GDPR gave us a very good example for us.
So the EU countries, we are of course launching our business. So GDPR, in terms of how we will be able to resolve that, I think needs to be changed, because already the GDPR request has to be responded, and we have been exerting our effort for that very sake. So in terms of data protection, the person in charge of the data protection in our company, we are enhancing on this effort. So the training of the employees, the GDPR, what are the definitions and what are the requirements to fulfill and to comply with GDPR, these trainings are being conducted. At the same time, all the business processes, we are reviewing the process and we are trying to make improvements so the GDPR compliance should be well met. And also the other thing is that in terms of internal and external, the gap, or maybe the roles that we need to play within the company. In every aspect of our business, we are reviewing the situation so that we'll be able to respond with GDPR. So this May, with the enactment of this law and regulation, we have not been impacted at all in terms of internal operation because we have been already being able to fulfill the requirement on GDPR. So this is, of course, in hindsight, we had exerted a lot of effort to do so, and of course that will incur cost as well. But that's something that we must do. And in terms of the question, in terms of the personal information protection law in China, this is in terms of GDPR. We don't have a well-established schemes and systems such as GDPR, but within each of the law and regulations, we are seeking to protect private information. But in terms of protecting on the privacy issue in China, it is going to be more important, and there will be more thoughts that will be put through. In a few years to come, China, we will need to review and revisit in enhancing the regulatory framework so that we'll be able to protect personal information and privacy information. So in terms of network security or cybersecurity law in China, after being enacted, there are some misinterpretation of this regulation to some parties. For instance, in China, disclosing some of the companies are required to disclose the information, but that is not the case. The information, there is an accountability and of course mandate in order to protect the personal information. So as an obligation, the user privacy or information is not going to be well protected. So in other words, we are offering facility in order to enable this regulation. So it's a foreign government or Chinese government, we may be asked to disclose the data, and we are not going to be disclosing our data, obviously. And Huawei is doing operation in infrastructure. Our company is creating the infrastructure and not responsible for the operation. So we are not in a position to control the data. In most cases, our company will not process the data. So the company customer information, the touch point with the private customer information is not too big, so very rare. So in terms of what Sekiguchi-san asked, I would like to be quite clear and explicit about this. Well, thank you very much. The time, unfortunately, running out. So, Mr. KenHu, thank you for your insightful presentation. I hope we will have a better relationship between Japan and China. Thank you very much. So, we'd like to conclude. Thank you. So, thank you very much, Mr. KenHu and Mr. Owaichi Sekiguchi for this session. We'd like to offer a break. So, the next session will start from 11:30. So please do come back to your seats by 11:30. Thank you very much.